Hello, everyone. I was asked the other day by someone which book on GTD would be the most helpful. And this person in particular had noticed that there were a number of books out there in the marketplace about getting things done and where should he start. So what I thought I would do today is give you a little bit of an overview of the output, David Allen's output, and also the books that have been written by other folks under David's supervision, and talk a little bit about where I think they fit overall in the GTD library, as it were. The first book I'll talk about is the book that started it all, right? Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. First came out in 2001, and it was the first time that David summarized, I think, for the world, what 25 years of doing work in this area had taught him. So it's a great sort of summary of, well, what did I anticipate would be helpful about getting things done? How does it react to the problems that I see in the world? And very practically, what's the methodology all about? It talks about the methodology both in in theoretical terms, of course, introduces the theory, but also gives you some guidance about practical implementation. So, as I say, that's the book that started it all. When it was originally published, David's goal was that he would sell, he reckoned he'd be successful if he sold about 100,000 copies. I think the latest numbers are just over 2 million copies have been sold of Getting Things Done, and its translations into just about 30 languages, as far as I'm aware. So if you're brand new to Getting Things Done, not a bad place to start. Very, very practical, very detail-oriented. David's second book is a really interesting one. So the story goes that after Getting Things Done, the first book, was published, it started to sell very well. And the publishers had a meeting with David and said, David, the book's doing really well. Could you write us another one? And David said, reportedly, well, it took me 25 years to come up with the first one. How much time have I got? And they said, well, ideally, we'd like it to be a little bit sooner than 25 years from now. So what David realized was that he had been writing, in essence, blogs. He didn't call them blogs at the time. They were email newsletters. But he was basically, he had created a lot of content of sort of 2 or 3 page overviews of some of the, overviews is the wrong word. In many cases, very deep dives into specific elements of GTD. So, so the mind sweep, why is that beneficial? The difference between doing things that are sitting on your lists and just following your instincts, and what's the appropriate balance, just as a couple of examples. So this book is called Ready for Anything, and it's, if what you're looking for is kind of a quick review or maybe a little bit of inspiration around various of the ideas that are that are important in GTD, it's not a bad place to start. It's 52, so in theory one every week. And if you've just got 5 minutes and you want to be inspired about your GTD practice, that's not a bad place, not a bad book to refer to. The third book. In the third book, what David did really was, I think, raise his sights and focus as much on the strategic impact of getting things done, as well as on the tactical. So the third book is called Making It All Work, Winning at the Game of Work and the Business of Life. This is the UK edition. And what I'd say about this book is, what it does is it introduces or reintroduces some of the core ideas that were in the first book, right, in Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. But what it does is it puts the ideas in a very helpful framework. So, in essence, what the book does is it breaks itself down into chapters, and each chapter deals either with one of the 5 phases of workflow. So, those of you who know GTD will be familiar with capture, clarify, organize, reflect, and engage. There's a chapter on each one of those. And then there's also a chapter on each one of the horizons of focus. So the horizons of focus model, for those of you who aren't aware, is the model that helps us to maintain perspective in the work that we do. It helps to ensure that as we undertake things day to day, individual actions day to day, that we are allowing space for, or not losing sight of, the longer term, the more strategic, the things that are not, very evidently presenting themselves and saying, "Do me now," in essence. So that's making it all work. Again, if someone says to me, I'm not really sure I want to jump into implementation. What I'd really like to do is understand at a high level how the framework works, and I sometimes will recommend Making It All Work. It's a great read and very well done. The fourth book in this series is called GTD For Teens, and it's a book that's just been published in the last couple of years. It was written with David Allen's guidance. Sadly, I don't have a copy of it because I've lent my copy to a young person in my life who is very keen to get exposed to the ideas behind GTD. But GTD for Teens is, well, it's that. It's an introduction to GTD for younger folks. It's also, I think, very helpful for parents, for carers, for anybody who has a younger person in their life and they're interested in how could I make GTD applicable, approachable for somebody in that in that sort of age group. I had a coffee not long ago with someone who's a very enthusiastic GTDer of long standing, and he sat down and the very first thing he said to me was, "Todd, I've been trying to introduce my other half, my wife, to GTD for many years, and I think I've found the gateway drug." And I said, "Tell me." And he said, I gave her a copy of GTD for Teens, and he said that was because the presentation of the information is designed to be accessible really for folks of pretty much all ages. She found that really intriguing in ways that some of the other books that he had put in front of her weren't quite so for her. So again, if you're interested in how could this be applicable for a younger person in my life, or if you're just thinking, hey, I'd like sort of a fresh take on some of these ideas, then I can highly recommend GTD for Teens. And now a quick spoiler alert: there will be a new GTD book coming out in the autumn. That's true here in the UK. I believe that's also the publishing schedule in the United States. I don't know what all the translation schedules are for the various countries around the world where it might be translated. But that's going to be what's called the GTD Workbook, and that's the guidance that we have is that's going to be a book that's focusing on the implementation of GTD, and very specifically, how do I go about walking myself through an implementation. So again, you might want to keep an eye out for your at your favorite bookseller or your favorite online site for buying books to see when that might come out. So that's it in a nutshell. 5 books, all about GTD in different ways, different angles, different focuses. I hope today was helpful. As always, if there's anything that I can be talking about here in my video blogs that might be helpful, please do let me know. And I look forward to talking to you next time. Bye for now.